Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Medal video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the Battle of Wits Super Battle Road stage. So basically this stage is pretty straightforward. Well, I say pretty straightforward, it's SBR. So as always with SBR, the best way to take on this content is to bring stuns, attack lowering, sealing. All of these are very powerful mechanics in the Super Battle Road space, or the Extreme Super Battle Road space. So for this team that we've got here, we've got a DB Heroes kind of orientated team, which I think is actually a pretty fun, pretty good team to take on this event with. We've got the lead of having the Super Hearts. Now Super Hearts is very good because he's got a couple of factors that make him very good for Super Battle Road. Firstly, he has the ability to guard all attacks, a very powerful ability for the first 5 turns. He then also has the ability to stun the opposition, and he has the ability to stun all enemies as well in the rotation that he's in. So this is a very powerful mechanic. It can really help with saving items and with mitigating the potential damage that the opposition will perform against us. So not only do we have double Super Hearts, who also acts as a pseudo support for the rotation, but we have some pretty powerful abilities. Firstly, we have Sealess, an incredibly powerful support-based unit that also functions very nicely in the second slot alongside the Super Hearts. He's a pretty powerful unit, one that's pretty reliable, one that does a great job overall. Then we have a floating Int Demon Goddess Toa. She's also a pretty strong unit. She has multiple capabilities that make her really solid. She has the ability to basically seal the opposition, which is incredibly powerful, but she can also lower their attack, which is also something that's super duper useful. It basically prevents them from performing super attacks, which is a very powerful mechanic, especially when you are taking on so many different enemies of many different types. I've used the transformation as well. The transformation for Super Hearts just makes them a lot stronger. Offensively, basically gives them that additional super attack as well, and allows us to kind of finish off the opposition. You do lose a little bit on the transformation, but generally speaking it's worth it, especially to end the rotation. Then I also have Fu. Fu is a great unit, so there's a couple of things about him that make him very useful. The first is his evasion. 50% evasion is always something that's pretty useful. And of course he also has the ability to seal the opposition on his super attack. So this is something that's going to help again with mitigation of damage, preventing those super attacks from connecting with us, and just overall he does do a very high level of damage as well. So this is also a very powerful mechanic, a way to essentially eliminate a unit, especially after he gets an evasion. He can actually do a very highly impressive amount of damage. Alongside that, we also have the AGL Demon, Toa, and AGL Toa does a great job in lowering the enemy's attack and defense, and also just providing support to the entire rotation. And then finally, our last member is the Tech Toa. So Tech Toa is again also a support, but she also has the ability to seal, which is again a very powerful, potent mechanic. So between all of our units, we actually have, I think in total, 3 seals, 4 instances of attack lowering, and we also have multiple stunning units as well. So that's generally why I would say this team does very well. Is not only is it high damage, high volume, but it also just has an incredible amount of control. If you look at the units here, a lot of them are sealed, a lot of them are stunned, a lot of them are controlled up, which helps a lot. Fu's going to instant eliminate one of the units, which is great. Gets rid of them completely, and then basically, we have the Hearts, which has guard as well, and he's just able to stun and really just limit the opposition if he doesn't get rid of them straight away. So the team itself is very strong. I think personally you could definitely no item run with this team very easily. It would just depend on getting some strong starting rotations to make sure you have probably double Super Hearts in the rotation. I think if you added Golden Cooler, although he's not really available on the Battle of Wits teams. But there's some other decent options you could probably run on Battle of Wits to kind of fill out all of these categories. I wonder how many no item runs you could do with the Dragon Ball Heroes team, and I'll probably try it out with my Dragon Ball Heroes units. I think I will definitely see how many stages we can do in no item, whether that's Legendary Goku event, whether that's the LGEGT Legendary Vegeta event. It will be interesting to see how much content they can do as a team. Yeah, personally speaking. But then again, it just depends. Of course, I think this run was easy for this team, but I do think it is quite challenging. The latest SBR aren't necessarily always the easiest. There's a couple ways you can kind of go about building this team. There's kind of like a future Saga team where you have, like your Trunkses and your Vegetos. You also have, quite a few other alternative options in terms of team build. So for example, you have Zamasu as well. You can kind of go the Goku Black Zamasu kind of build. But generally speaking, there's also some Piccolos, there's also some Whis, there's some Vegetas. There's a pretty decent-ish combination of units that you can use. I wouldn't necessarily run Piccolos. I do think the Namekian or the Piccolo orientated teams are good augmentary units rather than anything else. I think physical Piccolo is pretty good, but again, I think he's just a little bit too aged. Maybe if you have a Rainbow one with level 10 links, then things look a bit better. But yeah, personally speaking, I wouldn't necessarily run him as a main unit. But yeah, overall, some pretty good stuff. I think the team looks really, really good, really strong in this instance. I think, especially for this final fight, you want to keep the Bio Broly. You want to keep him relatively controlled. So keeping him sealed, keeping him stunned, keeping him attack lowered is all super helpful mechanics that are going to manage to get things done for you. So I would definitely consider doing that. But beyond that, I think there's not too much. You can see here we've got a Whis, and we took around 250,000, so that's still a lot of damage, especially considering he was multiple instances of attack load. But it is, it's not an easy event, but I don't think it's one of the hardest SBR, nor is it one of the hardest ESBR. I think the Battle Wits team, especially the Dragon Ball Heroes one, you have so much utility that you really don't have a problem at all. There's also alternative Battle of Wits Heroes teams that you can make, so you don't have to go the extreme route. I find the extreme team to just function so well. I find the extreme team to just be so much better than the other options, for me at least. Overall, I would say at least that I find it to be by far the better team than the superhero option. I just think it's got great synergy, especially for SBR and ESBR where you can debuff. I think there's a huge amount of potential with the Extreme Dragon Ball Heroes team comparatively to non-extreme Dragon Ball Heroes or something like that. But yeah, overall, pretty good stuff. Pretty easy-ish run as well. Dokkan attack's gonna help us finish everything off, and I believe we managed to get this done in under 10 minutes. So pretty good run, I want to say. I do think if you want to improve the team, there is link leveling. A lot of these units do very well with link leveling. But yeah, that's basically it. So if you guys obviously want more team building help, or if you just can't run a heroes team, then you're welcome to give me a shout. I will gladly be doing this free to play in future as well. So we'll definitely be doing that, in its own time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, bye.